If you've fallen into the trap of believing that you need to be posting daily in order to grow your business, or you need to be posting content everywhere online so that you stay top of mind with your clients or people don't forget about you, then in today's video, I want to share with you why I think that approach of having to be everywhere online and trying to create content so that you can show up more consistently in the inbox or in the feed of where your audience is could be the reason your business isn't growing or could be holding your business back. And I want to give you some tools and a perspective shift to kind of give you a slower, more intentional approach to help you grow your business in a way that feels more sustainable, simple, and enjoyable too. One of the common misconceptions that a lot of solopreneurs have, and it's something that I've heard from my own clients and followers, is if I'm not posting online every day, or if I'm not posting multiple times a week trying to create content, then the fear is that my audience is going to forget about me and my business isn't going to grow. I totally understand why you would feel afraid or cautious about slowing your marketing down, because the less marketing you're doing, the less content you're creating, the less chance you're going to have of getting your content seen by the right people who want to hear about your work and want to know more about your services. It'll be less opportunities for you to connect with the right people for your work and for your business. But here's the truth that I have come to learn from my own experience in my business is that constant visibility doesn't necessarily mean more clients or growing your following at a faster rate. Constant visibility often leads to diluted content, which means diluted impact. Meaning, if you're trying to be everywhere and posting content and trying to come up with new ideas to post things so that you have something to post on Instagram or to send out to your email newsletter list or to post on YouTube, that often means your content becomes less meaningful and there isn't as much depth. Just as an example from my own life and business, when I was fallen to the trap of the traditional, more conventional methods of growing my audience and getting my work seen, here's what happened. Trying to be constantly visible led to very scattered energy and me constantly trying to come up with ideas to post online, trying to create new things with, meaningless captions that really had zero impact because I was just posting for the sake of posting something so that I could get something out there and not be lost in the algorithm. And my energy was being scattered across all of these different platforms because I was trying to be on Instagram, I was trying to be on Medium, trying to post my blog, trying to put things on YouTube, trying to send out to my email list. My energy was all over the place. And what happened is I was getting extremely burnt out by trying to be constantly visible and constantly everywhere. I had to take a full year sabbatical to try to recover from the burnout of trying to grow my business, of trying to follow more conventional marketing methods, of being constantly online, trying to be everywhere, trying to make sure that I was always top of mind with my audience and the people who follow me. And that just completely burnt me out. And not only did it burn me out, but the content that I was creating did not feel like the quality content, that the standard of quality content that I like to create. And I'm not saying that every piece has to be a masterpiece. Not every piece of content has to be a masterpiece. But when you're trying to churn out content every single day or 3 or 4 times a week, when you don't have the energetic capacity or the time to be creating that much content, it's very easy to feel the pressure to just post something and to put out something that's going to be subpar and just have less impact overall. So there is a huge hidden cost to trying to be constantly visible and trying to be constantly everywhere, because when we try to be everywhere, we end up nowhere deeply. So if you've been following me for a little while, you know that I approach my business through a very slow marketing philosophy, a very intentional and gentle lens to help me grow my business in a way that feels simple and sustainable while also being joyful and fulfilling at the same time. When I was posting consistently all of the time, constantly going through this cycle of burning out, the last sabbatical I took was like a year. But before that, I've had many sabbaticals where I'd kind of just take off and ghost my audience for 3 months. Maybe I'd be gone for 4 weeks. I was just constantly going through this pattern of going really hard in my business, creating content, trying to keep up with everything mainstream and conventional marketing kind of teaches us and tells us that we need to do. And then I would burn out and I would have to take months to recover. And then I would slowly come back to content. And then I was having to always rebuild myself back up, trying to gain momentum, having to reintroduce myself. And it was exhausting, which is why I absolutely love marketing through a more slower, more quieter lens, because it gives me the spaciousness that I need to still be with my kids and do the things that I need to do at home, but show up for my audience and create content from a place of ease and joy without pressure or without any guilt of thinking that I always need to be online. I always need to be creating and inspiring my audience in order for them to not forget about me. If I want my business to grow, I need to always be putting myself out there. I need to always be on, but that wasn't sustainable for my lifestyle. That totally works for some people. And I'm not saying that in some cases we don't have to like hunker down in our businesses and hustle because we're working on something and it's important and we need to get this out. But it's about the long-term rhythm and finding a rhythm that's going to work for you. I know for me, because I am a full-time mom and I'm so busy with my kids and my home life, there's a lot of people who follow me who have chronic illnesses that prevent them from being visible all the time or always having to be working in their business. I know a lot of you who follow me are highly sensitive like I am, and you just have energetic limits that don't allow you to be present all of the time, nor do you want to be. So that's why marketing your business through this slow marketing lens and philosophy is so good for highly sensitive people, because you can show up and you can be very intentional and create content that is meaningful with impact, which doesn't require as much energy as having to try to come up with new ideas and post new content constantly and consistently. That won't land with anybody because it's lacking in resonance, it's lacking in depth. For me, slow marketing is the act of slowing your marketing down so that you don't feel pressured to be online all of the time, because I know that's for so many of us, myself included, people who follow me, they don't want to be online all of the time. They want to be able to have a business but also have a life. They don't want their business to control their life. They want their business to work for them, not the other way around. So the beauty of marketing your business this way and slowing everything down is it gives you the spaciousness you need to create quality content, to focus on depth, which so many highly sensitive people care about. They want to go deep with their audience. They want to go deep with their ideas because they want to have an impact. They want it to make an impact. And that's why slow marketing is so beautiful for people who do have energetic limits, who do have time constraints or lifestyle constraints, whether that's a chronic illness or you have kids or you have caretaking responsibilities, is because you don't have to be in your business all of the time, like conventional marketing will often lead you to believe. It's not the truth. Slow marketing for me, my approach to slow marketing is really about going slowly, but with more depth in a much more meaningful way versus trying to create a whole bunch of content. People may like it, they may engage slightly with it, but it doesn't have that emotional resonance that makes people really want to stick around and get to know you and come back to your content and re-engage with you time and time again and just kind of build that loyalty. So slow marketing is great if you want to have a more simplified, more intentional way of growing your business that doesn't require you to be in it or to be on all of the time, which is such a relief for people like me or you who are highly sensitive and get overwhelmed and burn out very quickly and very easily. So I want to share with you the simple framework that I follow in my business, and it's what I call the 3C framework for posting high connecting content without having to be constantly online. So the first C is cornerstone content. This is where you create one long form piece of content each week that really speaks to something that your audience needs right now, a question that they have, a philosophy or a perspective shift that's going to help support them in their life in whatever way your work supports your people. The way that I describe cornerstone content is really about having an original idea, something that you haven't posted elsewhere, whether that's answering a question or addressing a problem that your audience might have. Maybe it's a philosophy or a perspective shift that you can share with your audience and create some emotional resonance with them. So a long form piece of content, by the way, can be something that you share on, maybe it's a blog post, maybe it's on Substack, maybe it's an email newsletter, maybe it's a YouTube video or a podcast podcast, somewhere where you can share these ideas and go a little deeper with the concepts, go a little deeper with the tips, go a little deeper with the philosophy or the insight that you have to share with your audience. Even though my main platform right now, and I'm trying to be more consistent on YouTube and trying to create one cornerstone piece of content for YouTube each week, I don't necessarily hold myself too tightly to where I show up. For me, it's about where feels the most doable and sustainable for me right now. Sometimes that's a podcast, sometimes that's a blog post. I try to create one cornerstone piece of content for YouTube each week, but if for some reason that doesn't happen, it could be on the Slow Creative podcast, and that's okay. The idea is to create one cornerstone piece of content that you can share with your audience that's going to go deep into an idea. The second C stands for convert. So once you have your cornerstone piece of content that you've created, you're now going to convert that into 2 or 3 smaller pieces of content that you can spread out and either share that on Instagram, create a reel, create shorts, whatever feels doable. And if 2 or 3 pieces of content, shorter form pieces of content feels not doable, you do one. Take something where you can now repurpose that content elsewhere. You could take your long form piece of cornerstone content that you've created for YouTube, convert that into a blog post even, or into an email. It doesn't really matter the platforms that you choose. The main thing is for you to be creating a piece of cornerstone content that connects with your audience, has emotional resonance, goes a little deeper into some of the concepts so that you can reach your audience in a more meaningful way. Now you have a great piece of content that you can convert and use other places to help you reach more people and to be more visible without having to be constantly online or constantly visible. And the third C, which is my absolute favorite in this 3C content strategy, is to just put your feet up and chill. So the whole idea here is to create content in a way that feels really sustainable, that helps you reach your audience with more depth and more clarity without having to be online all of the time. So you've created your cornerstone piece of content, you've converted it into 2 or 3 smaller pieces of content, whether that's carousel posts, reels, shorts for YouTube, maybe an email to your newsletter list, whatever it is, it doesn't really matter. But you've taken that content and you've repurposed it into something else. Maybe you've scheduled that out for the future. And now the final stage is to take some time off and just take a break away from marketing and away from being on your phone or at your computer, and just take some space. Go for a walk in nature, find a way to recharge your batteries, whatever that looks like for you, but take some space. Make sure there's spaciousness in your marketing. Otherwise, you're going to burn out and you're going to feel super overwhelmed while you're trying to build your business. A few years ago, I gave myself the permission to slow down. At first, there were fears about, was my audience going to forget about me? I'm not going to grow as quickly. But what I've noticed is it is so much more fulfilling to go a slower, more meaningful way and to create quality content and depth and have emotional resonance in your content, and to take the time to do that versus just posting for the sake of posting. Your audience would much rather hear from you less frequently, but in a more meaningful way. They're going to get so much more out of that if you show up less, but you can produce better, more high quality content that really supports them in their life or in their business. So bear in mind that constantly doesn't mean better. Consistently doesn't mean that you're putting out great content that's going to strike a chord with the right people. It just means that you're showing up more, but it doesn't mean that it's connecting more. Slow marketing is really about going deep, not wide, and just trying to really engage with the right people, not everybody. And you don't need to be constantly visible to do that, which is one of the beautiful things about slow marketing. So as we wrap up this video, I want to leave you with some takeaways that I hope will help you shift your perspective if you're still on the fence, thinking that you need to be online all of the time. Is that memorable isn't about being constantly online, it's about being meaningful. So if for you, you can't even post one cornerstone piece of content every week, but you can commit to posting one cornerstone piece of content every 2 weeks or even once a month, that's going to get you so much further than posting little bits of meaningless content that really reaches nobody. It's okay to do things differently in your business. Your ideal clients aren't looking for you everywhere online. They're not checking their phone to see if you've posted something. They are connected to you, not because you're there every day online posting on Instagram or posting wherever it is, or sending 2 or 3 emails a week, but they're there because of your authenticity and the value that you can bring to their life. So I would love to know what would become possible for you if you allowed yourself and gave yourself the permission to slow your marketing down and to post less often, or stop being pressured into feeling like you need to be constantly visible online. Leave a comment below, and if you you have any experience with posting less often or slowing your marketing down, please share and let us know. If you've enjoyed this video, please subscribe for more intentional, slow business and marketing insight every week here on this channel. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you again next week.